Look at that cool Mistborn engraved cup to match my tattoo. A good way to start the evening channel. Ooh, that is not tea. Hi, what's up guys? My name is Graham. Welcome to my channel. It's one sip, already messing up. But welcome to my channel. I've been doing Booktube for 2 months now. And as I was scrolling through YouTube, going through different things, a thing popped up that was the new Booktuber, or the Newbie Booktuber tag, or the Booktuber Newbie tag. Book tag. And I decided, hey, I haven't done that. I kind of hate my channel trailer. And so let's try to make a casual event. I say casual as I'm buttoned up with a shirt, but hey guys, like I want to look nice. My hair might not look the best right now. You'll probably see it dry as we do this, but I want to look nice enough for a video. But it doesn't stop me from doing the whole COVID thing where I'm totally wearing gym shorts underneath this button-up shirt. So anyways, what's the Newbie Booktuber tag? Well, it's a way for us to get to know each other and for you to get to know more of my taste. And I saw a few people do it and I want to be a part of it. So I looked online. Luckily, there's like 7 to 11 questions is what they say to talk about. And so let's just jump right in with question numero uno. Why did I start this channel? I started this channel for 2 reasons. The first is kind of a longer story, and so I'll start there. Last year in 2023, I ended up, my son was born. His name is Finn, and it was awesome. I got to take parental leave and spend time with the family, and then it was time to go back to work. And as I went back to work, things weren't doing so hot in the business I was in, and they had to do layoffs. And because I already pretty much showed them how to do my job when I was gone, so I wouldn't be interrupted for parental leave, I was one of the first let go for the company. And so that was a bummer, but also a blessing in disguise, because my wife, she is doing great and we saved up quite a bit of money, and so I'm able to take a stay-at-home role and hang out with my son. And so all those people I used to be able to visit at work and talk about the books I was reading, well, they don't exist anymore. I'm by myself reading books, and I have more time now, so I'm reading more books. And so that is one of the reasons why I was thinking of starting a Booktube channel, because I love watching Booktube and I'm out of people to talk to and share books with and let them borrow. And so I thought I might as well go to the internet and be able to fill that spot of what I enjoyed doing at work when I was casually talking to some of my coworkers. And so that is one reason. The other reason is I set a goal this year to read 1 book a week, and that's a challenging goal. And so I thought this is the time to start a Booktube channel, because it will force me to try to release a review video every single week for the books that I've read. And it's been doing great so far. It's actually increased my reading time because I'm able to do that. And I have so many books that I keep buying and not reading that it's helping me go through my TBR and also be able to buy more books. Unfortunately, I was trying not to buy books this year, but I have an addiction, and it's buying books and reading them. So anyways, 2 reasons. That's them. That's why I started the channel, is so I could have a place to be accountable, and so I could be able to have that interaction with people and talk about something that I talked about daily with my coworkers. So wanted that back. Question number 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Look, I like having fun. I like talking about books. I like making jokes, even though it comes off as cringe. I already hit that in the last one. But honestly, I think what I can bring to the table is just a different outlook on different things. So far, what I've noticed is I am a 4 and 5 star junkie, which is not the best to try to get people to read books right now, because I fall in love with a lot of different things, or I'm probably just reading really good books. But I have a lot of unique ideas to come and be different to Booktube. I play a lot of video games as well, and so I have a few ideas of being able to do book recommendations based off video games, which I hope you can see shortly. And I just have a lot of cool things like that. I have a friend of mine who we also read books together, and we're working on a few fun projects. And so I think I'm just gonna bring just a few fun things that hopefully will just make people in Booktube have fun. I want to be able to get collab with some booktubers to be able to do some fun things that I have in store. It just takes a lot of time to be able to prep while, of course, taking care of my son. As I mentioned, if you hear a little static noise, I always have my baby monitor close by because I record these at night most of the time when he's sleeping. And so that's what you can bring to the table, which is really cool. You can also hear my perspective of being a dad and relating that to that as well, which I know there might be people out there that do it already, but hey. What are you most excited for about this new channel? Honestly, it's just a creative output and to help me be able to read more books and to be able to talk to you guys. I hope that as what other booktubers have done for me, I'm able to do for someone and introduce them to a book they might not have heard of, or be able to vibe with the review I give so we can have a good conversation. And out of my past videos, I've done this for a couple months now. It's been really cool to see some people comment being really excited about the journey that I'm on, especially reading certain books like the Greenbone Saga. The hype is really cool, and it makes me very excited to read books even more because people are excited for me. So that's what I really am excited about this channel, is being able to gain relationships and have that talking about things back, which is something I miss dearly. So why do I love reading? I think that's a tough question. Honestly, it's my favorite form of entertainment today because I feel that the written word and the things that are written in books is far more entertaining than what's been on television or movies for me lately, because I can imagine it or I can be able to feel those emotions. But the other reason I love reading is pretty much it is a lesson on empathy, I guess you could say. I always like being placed in someone else's shoes, if they're good or if they're bad, because it helps me be able to gain understanding of who they are. I'm a pretty empathetic person, and so being able to experience life through that lens and be able to hear different perspectives gets me really excited. I think my favorite books are the ones that end up tearing my heart apart and helping me grow in some way of that aspect. Like, for example, Beartown was something that really had me emotional. Damnation Spring by Ash Davidson. Not a lot of people talk about, but that book made me cry a lot, but it just was really, really good on the different perspective of things. Even Mistborn and Poppy War and The Way of Kings, a couple Brandon Sanderson books there, made me feel emotions that are just I don't get in other forms of media. Besides watching the Pokemon anime, I mean, every time Ash dies, I cry, you know. But I digress. So that's why I love reading, is I'm able to experience different perspectives. What book or series got me into reading? This is a great story. So I haven't been a consistent reader. I think a lot of us nowadays dropped off at some point and then like got back in. But I do have a story of when I first started reading. I was in first grade and I felt really left behind the class. I was sitting next to these really two smart kids that I don't remember their names, but they had full on, like, it felt like Way of Kings, like Stormlight Archive size books. And I was like, how are you reading this? Because I didn't know how to read. And so I remember like every day we would have to have reading time in first grade, and I would go grab like, you don't know how to read books. And there's this like tiny paper book about like a king wanting a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I remember always looking at this one book because, you know, if you're learning to read, you should keep trying the same thing so it can start making sense. And so there was one day, it was the last day of book fair at my school, and all of a sudden I read this whole thing about a king needing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I was like, holy crap, I know how to read. And I immediately rose my hand and was like, can I go to the book fair? Like, I just learned how to read. And my teacher's like, sure. And I went to the book fair, and they were packing up the books. It was the very last day, and Captain Underpants by Dave Pilkey was sitting there, and that was my first introduction to buying my own series. It was my first book I bought, and I was obsessed. It got me into writing. It got me into doing comics, because that book involved two kids making comic books, so I was always drawing really terrible creatures and writing stories for them, and making my own like universe inside of there. My first character I ever made, his name was Scoot, and he was a kid that wore a blanket as a cape and a bandana, and he had a sidekick named Tri-Kid who was just made out of triangles, and they would go and do things, and it was really, really dumb, and I loved it. So I would always do that and make stories and be able to read. I would always buy the new Captain Underpants. Later got into Harry Potter because that became big when I was a kid, and also got got into other stuff. I was there during the Twilight craze. I fell in love with sci-fi with Ender's Game, and fantasy. I've always been into like the Chronicles of Narnia and stuff as a kid. It's always been there with me. Reading the Hunger Games and things like that. I always did like the popular books at the time that people were talking about. And then I kind of fell off a little bit, but I continued reading different things. There was a time period where I was just reading books for work, but I wasn't reading for me. And then someone gave me the trilogy. Well, I guess I was just getting into reading again. I was finding my passion again. I want to start again because I got really into Dungeons and Dragons, and that brought my writing back out. And so I bought Priest by Matthew Colville, who's here on YouTube, and that kind of sparked my interest of reading again. So I started reading things that my friend recommended, got into Terry Pratchett. People started giving me into Brandon Sanderson, which really skyrocketed the whole fantasy dive in because Mistborn was my introduction there. That's why I got the tattoos. I felt like it really got me excited to go out there and read a lot more, and it was cool. So that's why I got into reading, got my love for reading, or the series that got me started. Oh man, I kind of like, I guess I went too far into that question, but yeah, there was multiple series that got me started. Captain Underpants is the one that got me into reading when I was a child, and I would say Mistborn might be responsible for me now, but yeah, that's where I'm at. Long answer to that question. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Oh man, honestly, I don't think I would ask them anything about books too much. It would mostly be about editing. I'm learning to edit right now through these videos, and so I like how crisp some of the edits are for other people. Do I put music in the background or not? Like what sources do they use for that type of stuff? Because you of course Google it and do that type of stuff. I have mics, but it doesn't connect to a phone, and that's what I'm using right now. Do I need to buy a camera? Those are questions that I'll eventually get to answer, and you'll see me be able to grow in there. But honestly, I don't know. I guess the question would be like, hey, booktubers out there, let's do a thing together, like a cool video, okay? I have some ideas in the works, and then I'll submit them your way. So just reach out to me in those comments or wherever else, and we'll get connected. What challenges do you think starting a Booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I think the challenge is going to just be improving and getting better and being comfortable in my own skin so that you guys can see the real version of me. Because I feel like the first videos you're getting a glimpse of who I am, but I'm awkward and I'm kind of cringe at times, and I am like that in real life probably. You know, I've been told I'm awkward once in a while, so that's cool. But I want to be more authentic and more presentable so that we're able to sit down and you could even watch a whole video of mine and we just feel like buddies. So that's the thing I want to overcome, is just being comfortable in front of the camera, treating you like a real person instead of someone who's actually not here. So great question. Loved it. When did you start reading? I already told that story. So that kind of coincided with what book or series got me into reading. When I start, I've been reading since first grade, and I've always been reading at least a book a year since then, but now I'm really kicking into gear with reading a book a week. So that's kind of the big goal of the channel, or one of them. Where do you read? I mostly read at home with my son. He's always near me or sleeping in his bouncer, whatever. And so sometimes I'll be reading when he's asleep, when he's getting those naps in, or next to him on the couch as he's watching some Hay Bear. Or yeah, I haven't really found right now it's on my couch is where I read mostly. I don't really like laying down to read. I like sitting. Yeah, that's a weird long answer for that. So I like to read at my house. There you go. Reading outside would be fun. I do like reading on vacation. That's a lot of fun, and I have a new environment. It always feels really nice. Things like that. What kind of books do you like to read? Honestly, I like them all, I'm finding out. There's really no genre that I stick to. Right now, I'm currently reading a couple thrillers, which is really fun. Detective-ish novels, which is cool. But I do love fantasy as well, and sci-fi. I love literary fiction, and I even like philosophy or memoirs. The books I don't like reading might be the better answer, is like, I'm not a huge fan of self-help books because I do feel like they're very repetitive. Like, they'll just tell you in the title, like, how to live a great life, or it's like high fives make you cool or make your life better, and you're like, yes. And so it's just like that book just tells you that you should high five more, is an example, like a random example, right? I'm not gonna go tell you an actual book, but that's just kind of like, you see the title and you're like, I know what I have to do, right? So and maybe that's just because I had to read a lot from my previous job, so it just makes sense. So business books, self-help books, not my favorite. Philosophy is fun, but everything else, YA, I'm not afraid of YA either, and I'm excited to get reading some of these books over here with my son, like Dinosaur Goodnight, kid books. Can't wait till he can start comprehending what I'm saying to him, which is great. Last question. This is sometimes done apparently. What does your book collection look like? Well, I would show you, but my son is sleeping and I don't want to like run upstairs and be talking loud near him. So this is part of it. It's up here. And then we have another, you'll see some of my other videos that have a bookshelf, and it's ever growing and changing and evolving. And there's sometimes books in random places that aren't supposed to be there. So we have a lot of books, not thousands. We're probably in the hundreds for sure. So yeah, we have some books that I need to get reading. And that's just from watching other people like me now who are booktubers, and them being able to explain things in a way that resonate well with me, that make me want to pick up that book, right? So it's because of that, which is really cool. It's helped me have a purpose as I go. I'm not really great at shopping and like looking at a book synopsis and being like, I like hearing people be able to tell me a little bit about the book, but the books that I have bought that are random, like, have been great. Like, I decided to buy one called Damnation Springs at a local bookshop up in Flagstaff, and without any context, it just was local author in Arizona, and I was like, sweet, I'm gonna buy this right now. And that was a great book. I'm gonna get a tattoo of it there. So fun fact about me before we get going is my arm has tattoos on it here, and this is gonna end up books that are influential end up here. So we of course have Mistborn, we have The Poppy War, we have Beartown, and then I'm going to get some redwood trees for Damnation Spring, and I'm going to get a constellation above it. That's going to be my son's, a Leo constellation, and it will be like on the like outline of the trees, because the first book I ended up reading out loud to our entire family when he was young isn't a book that I would read to him when he's a little bit older and can comprehend words, I guess, but was When the Forest Meets the Stars, which it wasn't my favorite book, but it was a meaningful book, so it gets tattooed on the arm. So I'm excited for that because it was the first one I read to him. Other than that, guys, yeah, this is me. Welcome to the channel. I'm excited to go on this journey with you, and yeah, I can't wait to see more of your faces. I almost said shining faces, but they could not be shining. I don't know. Anyways, cheers. Have a great evening or morning whenever you're watching this, and talk to you later. Toodles.